Hey everyone, welcome back to the Heroes World Quarantine podcast. I'm your host, Stupe. With me, as always, are the proprietors and owners of Heroes World. That would be John and Andre. Say hello to the world.
Hey guys. And
Hello.
yeah.
And of course, we are joined by the Prince of Mischief himself, Rob Cadet. Say hi, Rob.
Hey, Stu, is that you?
We have Stu's younger brother.
Stu?
Yeah,
subbing in.
I got rid of the Mirror Universe guy, and I'm back to normal. So here we go. So until 2021, we'll see. Maybe I'll creep back.
For those listening on iTunes or Spotify, Stu shaved his pandemic beard and literally looks like it's 1997. He's also wearing his pants to the back with a little slack.
Crisscross style. Crisscross
That's right.
style. My pants
Yeah.
are backwards. My
Yes.
pants are backwards.
Button flies.
Button flies. It's a new time. It's a new day. Joey, who couldn't be here with us, was just when I was talking to her on messages, she was like, "No, she doesn't even know me without a beard." So this is.
She
Unknown
blocked you on
territory.
Instagram. She goes, I don't know why this guy keeps messaging me.
She's like, "What? Who is this weirdo? And why? Oh, no beard." Anyways, good times. So thank you all for joining us today. This, of course, is a podcast where we talk about all things geek, pop culture, random things. Typically, these are all the conversations that we would have in the comic book store, which is located in Markham, Ontario. But we have just basically decided to record them and share them with the world. So that's kind of the format of this pod. It's a free-flowing conversation. I'll throw in some questions here and there, but that's pretty much what it is. So you'll get our takes, and potentially they will be hot. So here we go. Today specifically, John. John himself is ready. So today specifically, we reached out to the people who have been listening to the pod to get some feedback, some AMA style questions. So those of you who are unaware what AMA stands for, it is Ask Me Anything. Andre just pointed to himself. So these are questions that we've got from the masses, from the random people, to get thoughts on for us to answer as a panel. I'll ask everyone here questions and I'll get their takes. So, but before we go, we're going to talk about the Charlie Brown moment of the week and let Rob kind of unleash
blockhead
fury. So those of you unaware of Charlie Brown, okay, so there's a bit in Charlie Brown where Lucy would hold a football and Charlie Brown would go and kick said football. And every time they'd have a little bit of banter, like, are you really going to hold it? Are you going to take it away? And Lucy's like, don't worry, Charlie, I got it. This ball will be here. You'll kick it. It's fine. And every single time, Charlie Brown's like, okay, got it. I trust you, would run and kick the ball, and surprise, surprise, Lucy would pull that football away, and Charlie Brown would kick and just do a 360 in the air and just miss.
What kind of kick is he going for every time? But this is a good metaphor for Rob.
He is going for the 53-yard field goal. So this is what he's doing. So it's a great bit. And we alluded a few weeks ago about Rob being Charlie Brown of us all, looking forward to the Wonder Woman movie, getting to watch it, getting to take the kids, get ready to live his 80s past. Everybody's working for the weekend style, getting ready to wear his 80s
Fanny pack.
Fanny pack and his all the clothes from the 80s, which of course still fit Rob perfectly, and he can go in and watch. And this week we heard news that James Bond would be held back till pushed for 2021. The date of release was supposed to be November, and now will be pushed for 2021. So, Rob, please tell us your thoughts.
This is why it pisses me off. Listen, I get it from the pandemic point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. Hey, guys.
From the pandemic's point of view.
The cloud that was in the Green Lantern movie is the COVID pandemic. No, I get it. I understand it. Here's what pisses me off about it. We all knew the inevitability was that they were likely going to move it. And yet, leading up to their decision, which was only made on Friday, on Wednesday or even Thursday, they released the official music video and song by Billie Eilish. They
released it before. It was 6 months ago they released the official song. Like, it was already out.
The video came out.
No,
The
I don't
video
think
and the
that
song.
they dropped that. No, they didn't drop that song before, because what
They did.
happened was the movie was supposed to come out in April, and it was way back in February is when they pulled it. They pulled the movie and postponed it. And everybody was like, "Why are you postponing it now?" Because in the UK was it was a rapid in what was happening in Europe than it was in North America. They didn't release that.
They did.
They did?
There's time. They did. They did release the song. You probably don't know because you're not a Billie Eilish fan like I
No,
am.
but I
'cause
no, but I
listen to all
didn't.
her
There
tunes.
was no.
Stu's a
there
bad
was-
guy.
Bad
No,
guy.
but there was no video for it. There was no. I don't recall any of that.
There was.
So at any rate,
This is the
Speeding
Hello
up-
Kids moment. Hello Kids, I'm with it. I know the Billie Eilish song came out before. It was
I'm gonna
out. It was
research
out.
this. I'm going to research this, and
Please.
you're going to be wrong.
Please do.
Anyways, they've been pushing the marketing. They keep saying November. Leading up to this week, it's November. They released the official music video and song. Big push. 24 hours later, we're delaying things. This is what just pisses me off. Like, we all knew it was happening. I was somewhat shocked that they were still going to go forward and keep this date of November, whatever it was, the 12th or something. I was shocked that it was going to happen, but I was like, all right, if that's what they're going to do, I'm all for it. I'm a huge Bond fan, so I am down for James Bond. But then, and then as you see, like I said, these trailers, these commercials, the video, you're like,
Yep.
wow, they are really sticking to their guns. And then they pulled the football and I got pissed off. I'm Charlie Brown who's pissed. And I just wish that they would have made that decision back in early September or August, because we all knew what was happening. Why wait so late? So that's what pisses me off. And now look at the repercussions, because now you've got that massive, is it Cinescope or whatever it is in the UK. They're now shutting down their entire fleet of theaters until the spring, because they were counting on this on the Bond to come out. They had guarantees it was coming out. So I just think that you pulled it with 4 weeks notice. That to me is I think it's bullshit is what it is. So
Well, Rob, when you start Googling the fact that the Billie Eilish song did
The song actually dropped around February. I remember hearing it back in the day. Yeah, so,
I did
and the
hear
video,
it.
the music video dropped recently.
the music video dropped, but the song itself, Billie Eilish song, dropped out way early last, and I heard it and I'm like, it's not a bad Bond song. Like she's got this. It's not not Skyfall, which Andre hates.
No GoldenEye.
But, regardless to say that Skyfall song's dope. It's maybe, as Andre would say, maybe the best part of the movie was just the song with Adele singing. And the intro. Other than that, Andre's out, right? You could say that at least the Bond intro with Skyfall was cool.
hey, we'll have to do an entire podcast on Bond, best Bond movies or songs or whatever, but because I could go on for days, man. I'm a huge Bond fan. So
Andre's
whatever.
Like, the song with Madonna. That's the one that Andre likes.
No, that was no. Die Another Day. No. I guess we have to wait now until
What was the theme
April.
song to Octopussy?
Oh,
That was it.
I can't remember the name of the song, but I do know it. Yeah, it was.
Okay, just sing a couple bars.
No.
I'll take Tina Turner's, and I will take Duran Duran's as the best two for sure.
Duran Duran's. Paul McCartney's one wasn't bad.
No,
Let It
but
Die.
like, those two were just Bond to me. They View to a Kill, like that was it. Just fit the movie, and Tina Turner, man.
A
Oh,
View to Kill. Is that just because that was the Bond you grew up with? Is that very indicative of like?
well,
Which Bond was A View to Kill?
But the video for the song and the song itself, it was really good. And I will give a shout out to "The World Is Not Enough" by Garbage, because I didn't think they'd hit it at all, and that was actually a pretty decent song for Bond. So those are kind of the ones that resonate with me.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good Bond to jump in. But yeah, Rob. So that happened to you. That was it. So when you go online and look at Billie Eilish songs, and you can see that it's post dated in February, I'll wait for your response. So that is that. So here we go. We're getting to the
In Rob's defense, I don't believe it got any radio play, to be honest.
No, it was just on YouTube on her thing because they gave her the right.
Just the lyric video or something like that. Yeah. So
just the Billie Eilish.
It's not going to come to people's
The
attention.
true Billie Eilish heads like myself had an opportunity to listen to it beforehand. So I was like ready to go. And I'm like, man, I can't wait for more Billie Eilish and Phineas music tracks You didn't think I knew her brother, eh? There you go.
Okay, I just looked it up, and you're right. It was
Why you gotta look it up again? I looked it up for you.
because I don't believe you. Okay, fine. But you know what? I don't think it was widely released. I think it was like
It was for her network of like fans and people that were in the know were like, yeah, it's not a bad song. It's not
No,
bad.
they played it on the radio. They would be like, "This is the new Bond song by Billie Eilish." And they
don't
played it for
know
like
if they-
1 day, and then it disappeared.
I just can't. I don't imagine they play Bond songs on the radio very often. They're,
No,
they're
they do.
very quite slow, like and melancholy, unless it's like
Now at 7:00, we're gonna play 007's theme.
yeah, like I don't listen to terrestrial radio anymore, so I don't know whether they play like CHFI, like it's. I think they played Adele because it was Adele.
no.
Like,
They
that
played
was-
the Adele one. They played the Sam Smith Spectre one. I mean,
Yes.
the more even the Sheryl Crow, the Casino Royale one. They played a lot. A lot of those Bond songs, modern Bond songs, have been played, and even
the artist is big, but yeah.
what's that?
The artist is a very big artist, so and Billie Eilish again, they're trying to get the kids involved, but it's just one of those things where it's kind of like the Super Bowl before when they'd be like, who do the kids like? It's Justin Timberlake. Let's get him to do the Super Bowl. So this is a hello.
Yeah,
kids.
I remember that. I remember in the 80s, it was Gladys Knight did the theme song to License to Kill. People actually hate that song. I always thought it was really good, but I remember that being on the radio a lot. Anyways, I digress.
We'll do-
Screw Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson for pulling this movie 4 weeks ago. We all knew you should have done it months ago, and that's all I have to say about that. But I do want to do a Bond. Now I'm all into Bond. I want to do a Bond podcast at one point. So I'm throwing that out there for you guys.
It's gonna be a quick pod for Andre because apparently you only like what 2 so far. Did you name 2 that you liked? And
He likes the original. He likes the originals.
Listen, I can talk Bond, everything, but actually, yeah,
you don't like Daniel Craig.
We'll do it. Yeah, anything that's the Daniel Craig stuff. This is where I will beat Rob to death about how bad those Bonds are, and compared to the other stuff. But the Bond podcast happens after my Fast and the Furious podcast. Okay, so don't be trying to sneak Bond in. We got to do my family Toretto one first. All
Hey,
right.
if you were a Bond fan, you know that Bond snuck things in all the time. There you go. That's all I got to say about that.
It's very inappropriate what Bond has done in the. It's a very.
Until Daniel Craig lost his junk and can't sneak anything anywhere no more.
Well, we have to wait till the next Bond comes up before we do the Bond pod. Like I feel like the fact that there's a new 007 kind of speaks to
2023.
volume. Yeah, he's very culturally inappropriate, the Bond movies, but I'm looking forward to
Cut it into 4 episodes and release it on Netflix.
the new
And then Rob's happy.
007. I'm all about the new 007. So Monica Rambeau or whatever, do it. Just go in there, killing people for the sake of the Queen. So we'll see what happens. Wow, that's a lot longer in Bond than I anticipated. So all right, here we go. The AMA portion. Yeah. So note to self, Bond pod in the future after the next Bond movie. Once that Daniel Craig run is over, we'll do the Bond movies because I think that's once he's done, there'll be a new Bond, and then we can go on.
And
I
then
say
there
we
will
do a
also be a new
snake draft.
Fast and
We
the
do a
Furious.
Bond snake draft and just screw John over because he won't understand the rules again.
How many movies are there? I'd have to watch
25.
them all. 25?
There's a lot of movies, yeah. George Lazenby.
Lazenby, not Lazenberry. He's not a
there's the
cereal, for
Connery,
God's sakes.
I love Frankenberry in the morning.
Frankenberry. Yeah, there's the Daniel Craig stuff. There's the Pierce Brosnan stuff. There's the
Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton
I
stuff.
thought that was one movie.
Or Sean Connery.
Dude.
Come on, name the best ones. Come on, Stu.
Well, you don't have to without saying. It's, of course, Sean Connery, but
This is now
Yeah.
turning into a Bond podcast.
okay, yeah, that's the name of you. We're just reminding John how many Bond movies he's got to catch up on.
The hell a lot.
Yeah,
He's got to catch up on all 24.
Yeah, it's the Bond verse, which none of it matters, none of it continuous. It doesn't matter outside of the Daniel Craig ones. None of them connect. They're all random. It's who cares?
No, incorrect.
Until the next Bond, the next Bond comes out, and it's Fast and the Furious 5 style, and they bring back all the Bonds and perform a super duper heist.
Connery's retired, but I'd love to see that one. All right,
Yeah, he comes back. Everyone's coming back now, man.
except for Connery. He's the only one
Oh,
that's moved back.
he's like, I'm done.
He's retired. Yeah, he's retired. He's done.
He's done.
Just
Okay,
like-
so
just
Bond,
like-
Fast and the Furious coming up, and then after that is Tim's Netflix holiday special one, and then we'll
The
do a
holiday
bunch of-
universe. Yeah.
the Netflix
Okay,
holiday universe.
Just to clarify before we move on, you are actually wrong, Stu. They are not individual. They were connected after On Her Majesty's Secret Service, because the next movie that Connery came back, he avenged his wife's death from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which was done by George Lazenby. So there is interconnected stories there. But please continue.
Okay.
On to the question.
What one or two movies before Daniel Craig connected, and then they all kind of fall off the rails because it doesn't really happen for any of the Timothy Dalton movies. They're not connected. There's no really because the Felix
Where
swap
are they?
happened so many times where there's no consistency in who Felix is until the Daniel Craig movies where there we go. There's a proper Felix and he's in all the movies. So that's where we're at. Okay, so yeah, Felix is the best in the Daniel Craig movies. So Andre, fight me on that one. That's it. Okay. First question from Instacash. I'm gonna throw this out to the group. Is what is the most underused or underrated superpower? So thank you for the question, Andre. We'll start with you. What is the most underused, underrated superpower?
Underused
Or underrated.
So okay, yeah. So maybe underrated might be better because depending on the hero, like they're going to use their powers no matter what. This is a tough one because there's so many kind of lame powers. Right.
10-eyed man as the one comes to mind.
I would
10 eyes on his fingers. He's a
I would
Batman
say
villain.
The
Where I don't know why he has 10 eyes, but I'm just kind of filibustering for you, Andre, to give you a second to think.
I would say a cool power, but used poorly is you have characters like Animal Man who can communicate with all animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool power. But then you have Squirrel Girl who can only communicate with squirrels, right? That's
Underrated.
A lame power. So that's what I would go with.
Wow, the Squirrel Girl group is gonna come after you, Andre. That's
They
a
give
really wow.
Yo,
That's
there's a
all
lot of
the people to
squirrels
attack.
running wild right now.
Squirrel Girl,
So
they're gonna
that power's
unite
gonna be
against
pretty
you.
dirty now.
Wow, that's that's what you call underused power. It's just talking to. All right, okay. I'm gonna go to Rob because I'm anticipating the John I got nothing comment. So
I got something.
Oh, you got something. Oh, all right, John. Here you go. Yeah, all right, go.
Okay, the best example is, and we've seen it in film, is probably the stretch ability. So like if you read comics or like watch like Fan for the movie or whatever movie has someone with stretchy power, it's so underutilized. And then you see something like Incredibles where and I feel like Incredibles only like scratch the surface, like the abilities that Elastigirl was able to use, especially in Incredibles 2. You're like, holy, this previously like lame Plastic Man Fantastic Four would be in my eyes, and then I see Elastigirl doing that chase scene with the bike and flying over everything and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, elastic powers are unstoppable. So I think that's one of the most, but I guess it's hard to convey in comics. And then the other power I would say is definitely underutilized and should be exposed as a much more powerful power is Cyclops, because imagine if you could just look at whatever you want to die. You know what I mean? That power, and his old shout outs to the old Marvel cards, his power could level a mountain. Like, I don't know if you know how big a mountain is. Rob can probably give you the exact measurement of the minimum size for a mountain. Being able to level.
What is the definition of a mountain, Rob? Can you
Rob,
Google
science
that?
guy.
What is the definition of a
Science
mountain?
guy.
This is
Rob Nye, science guy.
For the young kids at home that watch One Punch Man. One Punch Man also can punch down a mountain.
Like being able to look at and devastate an entire mountain seems like a power. And sometimes sometimes Cyclops is put on that Omega mutant level, but sometimes he's not. Like it's kind of inconsistent.
I think it's the fertilization powers that why he's put on the Omega level. It's not him himself, but the power for him to reproduce, to make Omega level children is what he's known for.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
and then
I just saw that most geologists, John,
Yeah.
classify mountains with a peak of at least 1,000 feet or
Yeah,
more
1,000
above
feet.
the surrounding
1,000
area.
feet.
Or
So imagine being
landscape.
able to
So-
level something of 1,000 something feet of solid rock by just looking at it. Like
Depends.
I think Josh Whedon.
Depends
Yeah.
on what type of rock formation. Because as you discovered in Canada, we have very thick stones and rocks, which made it difficult for us to create trains. In America, they have a lot of soft limestone, which is why they didn't have to use much TNT to create the national railway system in the Americas as they did in Canada. So that's one of the difficulties.
I think his
why it
card
took so
said
long for us
mountain
to-
and then period though, so it just means any mountain.
Yeah,
So
it took
it's
so
Welcome
long
gone.
to
for us
Fun with
for-
Rocks.
It's gone.
There's a reason why it took so long for us to build the national railway and confederation across Canada, because the rocks in Canada are damn freaking solid compared to the soft limestone in America, where it doesn't require like so much TNT to do. So there's your rock fact for the day from Rob and myself. There you go.
Yeah, and then the other thing I was gonna say is Josh Whedon kind of touched on it a little bit when he would bounce his lasers off of, like, he'd throw like a reflective ball or something, and he would bounce his powers off stuff. So that would be my answer.
And also John is saying that because when he plays X-Men for Street Fighter, when Cyclops says reflective shot, he just hears that in his head as
Optic
Cyclops
blast.
uses his. And what's the other? What does he say when he uses superpower? Omega beam or whatever.
I think he says "Behold, optic blast," and then the
optic
whole
blast, yeah.
screen gets engulfed in a giant optic blast. And I remember back in the day in the arcade, some guy would just shoot beams and just nonstop, and people would think it's cheesy because they didn't know how to get over fireballs, and they just optic, and then they go boom, the giant beam. And now that I'm grown and know how to play fighting games, you're like, oh, that's actually kind of easier to get around. But back in the day, that guy would just sit there and everyone would be tossing their quarters in and he would just demolish everybody.
Yep. Good times. Good training module. All right, Rob, it is up to you. The question again for the John Ho. Let me repeat the question for you. Moment of the day.
No,
is,
I got the question. I'm
Rob,
just
like,
more,
what was the question?
I'm just more amazed that John came up with the elastic one. Like, it's almost as if somebody gave him that answer because it was way too well put together. Like, that shocked me to shit. I was like, whoa.
Like, shit, I got Joey on the phone. She's giving me the inside track.
This
John's
the
like,
underrated
this is like,
or
can I call a friend? Can I get some?
The little lifelines on the side, the screen. They call a friend.
the most underrated. This is actually a really tough question, because, like, I asked my wife, I was like, "What do you think?" And she was like, "Oh, that stupid Aquaman because that movie sucked." And I was like, "You're
Look,
not
this guy
understanding
cheated. He
the
already
question."
knew the question.
No, but it's a tough one because there's so much. You know what? I whittled it
I
down.
came up
to-
with two.
No, I don't.
Come up with one.
You barely came up with two. Magic. I think magic is an underused power. I think that we've seen a lot more of it because of the Justice League Dark.
David Copperfield or David Blaine
comics.
style magic.
And their movies, the DC animated movies, but generally magic as a power is pretty underused throughout the DC universe. I mean, I know we've got Shazam and his powers are based in magic, but there's not, I mean, I don't know if it's still canon, but that's Superman's, like, one of his Achilles heels was magic, and we don't see a lot of that. So if it wasn't for the Justice League Dark comics, it would be almost non-existent, right? So if you really think about magic characters, you know, aside from Zatanna and a couple others, and Constantine, magic is a power that is not usually used to its full extent.
Only in the
Doctor
DCU.
Strange, bro.
Yes, only in the DCU.
Doctor
Yeah.
Strange, dude. I mean, Rob, that's
Yeah. Andre can talk about how magic is totally utilized by Doctor Strange and Brother Voodoo and all the MCU characters because it's integrated to their universe and DC.
I think Rob means street level magic, like card tricks and stuff like that.
like
Like,
David
I'm
Blaine.
gonna
look at that
stop
window.
you.
Boom, and the
Even-
cards are on the inside of the window.
Yeah, because even the hood, like in Marvel, like he has magic because he has a magic hood that gives that does stuff, and Doctor Strange
think I
knows
get
of
where
his
Rob's
magic.
coming from, but both comic companies have a big tradition of magic. Like there's Doctor Fate. Even if you look at the Wonder Woman books, a lot of it is magic and the gods and stuff. So maybe you're right. Maybe it isn't like blasted, but I would say it's still there and it's still used.
I think it's more minimized because it's less believable by today's audience, I guess.
What are you talking about? Harry Potter. What are you talking about? Not believable. It's just people
Nobody
don't know
watched
how to
Harry
utilize
Potter.
it. John hasn't discovered Harry Potter yet. John's like, what? Harry who? What? Who?
I haven't watched it.
Well,
Is this also another Bond thing? Oh no,
John, as you have 2 young daughters, welcome
So
to
Stu's Harry Potter podcast is like next on the stack.
No, we can avoid that one. That's that
Fantastic Beasts just ruined it for Stu.
hot trash. Hot trash.
We've heard it
Fantastic
many
Beasts.
times.
The worst. J.K. Rowling, stop now. Okay, so I would say it's interesting you guys put your comments together, because I think that there's a difference between comics, because I think comics do a better job of utilizing the abilities as opposed to television and movies, because it's more difficult to animate, except for the exception of, I guess, Elastigirl, because you look at Green Lantern and all the cartoon shows, he's just making 3D blocks. And you look at the cartoon, like the comic books,
Big fist,
and it's awesome. Green Lantern in the comic books is amazing. Green Lantern in movies is stupid, including the cartoon show. God, I love Justice League Unlimited, but he just basically makes platforms for people. It's like Jon Stewart's like, let me make this cone, let me make this punching glove. I'm like, oh, dude, you can do so much more. But this is an interesting thing. Okay, so here we go. Next question to you guys. From John B, which superhero car or vehicle would you daily? This is a new question for you. I'll give you a second. Which daily, I guess you would use, the hot kids would use daily, but which superhero car or
maybe
vehicle?
you're getting to work car. Rob's trying to look up the slang.
I was like, yeah, I think you're missing a couple of verbs. What do you mean? Would you daily? What are you talking about?
People when they drive their cars every day, they call it a daily driver.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Daily.
And then you would have your Ferrari or whatever on the weekends.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you about
what would you use on a daily basis? Yes. As just like when you play Among Us, when people say sus, you're sus, man, you're sus. Well, that's short form for suspicious. They just can't do it anymore. It's just too many words, too many syllables. So
Okay.
the question is from John B. Thanks for the question again. What superhero car or vehicle would you use on the daily? So that is, I'll start with Andre. I'll give you the option. You don't have to drive far for work, for those listening at home. But
you
if
can
you have
drive
to
a completely
far,
impractical car as a daily if you want as well.
you can do whatever you want. What car would you car would you
I'm
use?
going to take the Spider-Man mobile from Spider-Man's worldwide arc. So this is the.
Please tell us
drive up
more about
buildings?
this car, Andre. Yes, please.
So
Give us
so
some more.
Basically, this was an arc where Peter Parker created Parker Industries, and he went worldwide. And so Spider-Man would be, kind of like a James Bond globe-trotting, having adventures in all different parts of the world. And he was teamed up with Mockingbird quite often. And in one of these story arcs, he's got this Spider-Mobile, and it can climb up walls and it can extend and stuff like that. So it's kind of silly, but the colors were cool. So, I think that would just be something pretty cool to drive around and have some fun with.
Nice. All right, Rob, here you go.
He's gonna choose 89 Batmobile. He's grabbing it from a shelf right now. Oh no, he's going Knight Rider.
Listen, I love the Batmobile, but it's not practical to take to work every day. It's way too long to park. I don't want to get a ticket for double parking. I'm talking Knight Rider kit.
Is he a comic book? Does Knight Rider have a comic book? I think probably. I assume Knight Rider had a comic book.
It probably had a 4-part limited.
It probably had a comic book. We're gonna let that one go, Rob, because
Iconic car. Would you actually
Knight Rider
drive,
had a comic book? Yes.
or would you sit in the seat?
No.
No. Would you put on the fake seat costume and drive around so people look like the car is driving on its own?
Yeah. No, I would. I would. No, are you kidding me? If you could pick any car, I would totally pick that kit as a vehicle. Like that thing just
Activating the turbo boost.
That's right, man. And I would, just to clarify for those who are wondering and who are going to be listening to this, I would pick the kit that when the not the first season where the voice modulator was just the red blinking light as opposed to the
Mr. Feeney,
the flux, but I would not pick the kit where it is the last season where all of a sudden the back extended out and you have these like fake propulsors that were coming out of the back of it. So I would pick like that season 2 to 4 range. Man, that kit was awesome.
So not the Mustang reboot.
No,
the
not
voice.
the. Not,
Who's the
not
voice?
No, sorry.
Who's the voice? Are you going with Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets
Yes.
World? Or
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. I'm totally going with that. I'm not going Val Kilmer reboot styles. No, thank you. No, I would totally go he was the same voice of Charlie's Angels. So I'm going with him. I'm going with that car. That car is the best, man. That car is the ultimate vehicle kit all the way.
All right, John, here you go.
Oh, there's only one answer to this question. And it is very easily. It is Wesley Snipes from Blade, the 1968 Dodge Charger. You can't stop that car. And of course, my daughter wakes up super early today. What's up? But yeah, that as an icon and as a daily driver and as a nighttime vampire slaying vehicle, you can't stop that. Maybe the Ecto one if you need to carry stuff around and haul the kids around. But yeah, that Dodge Charger is easily, hands down, the number one choice.
It's just a car.
That's what you think. That's what you think. It is a 1968 Dodge Charger.
But it doesn't.
I'll put it up head to head with your Trans Am any day of the week.
Dude,
People are going to choose the Charger.
What else with that car that's special about it, John, besides that?
Nothing. It's got a big Mopar engine. It was flat black. And it just sounded mean as hell. Like literally, like as far as no frills goes, it almost literally like they just took a Charger and they just painted it matte black, and we're like, let's go.
I would have taken the Supernatural car, at least in the trunk.
Oh, the Impala,
weapon.
the Supernatural Impala is amazing with the door squeak.
Yeah, that Impala, like with the weapons and this thing in the back. If you're gonna go that, might as well just go. At least you have demon fighting kits in the back.
Dude, where are you working that you need weapons to come out of the back?
Dude, you never know what happens, Andre, when you're driving to work. If a coven of vampires attacks you, you got a trunk ready to go. You got. Anything can happen on the way to drive to work, whether it's vampires, a succubus.
You obviously, Andre, haven't driven the 401 as you're entering Scarborough at that Kennedy, the Markham Kennedy junction there.
Check
you don't understand everything bottlenecks. You would need weapons on your vehicle to get through there unscathed.
Or at Kennedy and Highway 7, that this is another, or no, Kennedy and Steeles. So near Pacific Mall, you definitely also would need weapons at that intersection to fight off the hordes of zombies and other ghouls that are driving on the streets. So that's what I'm saying.
I don't know who John B is who submitted the question. Thanks for that, John. But I suspect he was probably looking for somebody to say the Fantastic Car, because that's the first thing that popped.
You can fly over traffic. Yeah.
Or
in the movie, it also had Hemi in it.
the vehicle, or if you're right, the Invisible Woman's jet, or the Batmobile, of course. That I guess everyone just assumed that was the case. But
getting in and out of a Batmobile would be widely impractical on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question, a deep question from Johnny T. Which comic book character had the greatest impact on you personally? Also, which one do you not just get? So that I'm gonna go with again. I'll read the question. Which comic book character had the greatest impact on you personally? Also, which one do you could you not just get? All right, thank you, Johnny T, for that one. Shout out to him. And so, Rob, we're gonna go to you first, with your eyes bulging out of your eyes.
That's a really difficult question.
Yeah, it's a deep question. This is really going to your mind's eye to see the
maybe break it into two parts. Like, first of all, what's the most influential, and then maybe we'll loop back and think to the character you don't get.
Some people are big brain, John, that can do both. I want to give people the option.
I need a break.
Not everyone. Some people are big
I need to
brain.
hear other answers. I need other answers.
John's just stalling.
It's hard. I don't think, and I don't know what the impetus of that question of who had the biggest impact on you, because I don't think for me personally, I've never had a character who has, I've looked at and said, oh my God, I see that, reading it is like, wow, that's parallel to me. I've never had that. I will say this though, if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with the Incredible Hulk, only because
the TV show.
That TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Superman. Like I'm a '76 kid, right? So that movie, I was 3 when Superman came out. But I remember I have a lot of memories of some of my first memories of watching TV was watching the Incredible Hulk show. to the point where I used to, I grew tall really quickly as a kid, and so I used to. My mom
And then
would
what
always
happened?
buy me these. Yeah, my mom would always buy me these like nice clothes when we used to go to Sunday school or all that.
You would Hulk out.
I would wear them in the backyard, and I would use like scissors and cut little, and then I would rip.
And you'd be
out,
like, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
That's right. I would do that. I would do the whole thing with my eyes and like that. Right? Pretend.
And then walk away sad.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I'd always walk away looking for little hobo. That for me kind of influenced my outdoor creativity and play. So I think that would probably be the answer. I mean, I love Batman, I love Superman, but I guess as something that influenced me to be outside playing a lot and pretending to be another character would probably be the Incredible Hulk. As for the one that I just don't get, honestly, Swamp Thing. I just don't get it. Like, I understand, like, I talk to the flora and fauna of the world and this and that, but
wow.
I'm not really. Although I guess Animal Man would probably be even worse for me. He's one I really don't get. But
for amazing, you haven't read Warren Ellis's stuff. You haven't read the right books. Oh man.
I mean, I would go with Namor, but I know how on fire that would make Pat. So I guess I should have stuck on brand with Namor. But I'm gonna go Swamp Thing. I don't really.
Swamp Thing's the bomb, yo. Swamp Man. Oh, dude.
But yeah. I've read a lot of the Justice League Dark, like up until issue 25 or 30, and I'm like, okay, great, you're like a bit play. I don't really get it. Like, I don't really see the purpose of like what he brings. He's pretty
quickly. Andre, can you bring up a really amazing Swamp Thing run for Rob to go through? Because there's a million things popping.
You mentioned it. The Warren Ellis run. There was the recent run. Even the New 52 run was very, very good. The groundbreaking ones, the Alan Moore stuff. There's a lot of good stuff. But
who wrote the New 52? Was it Snyder?
No, it was
it was someone else big.
There was one really good Swamp Thing story, and that was by Tom King and Jason Fabok. They did that one shot. And that as a story was amazing, but Swamp Thing as a character, as part of a team, I don't get it. So that's
All right, we'll have to educate you on that one. Swamp Thing's great. Sure, I think we can convince you on Swamp Thing. I think Namor's a lost cause, so we'll give that one up. I can't justify Namor.
Yes, Scott Snyder did work on that New 52 run.
I feel like that wasn't it Snyder and somebody else? Was it Tinian or?
I don't see a creator. It says Scott Snyder, Charles Soule, Yannick Patrick. I'm the worst at pronouncing names, by the way. Francesco Francavilla and Kano, like from Mortal Kombat. I don't know. But I think it was primarily Scott Snyder.
Kano from
did that run.
Kano from Mortal Kombat.
Rip your heart out.
Awesome. All right. I'm gonna let John go. John, do you need me to do the John Ho questions? Or...
No. I got this.
Okay,
I got this.
Got it.
Yeah. So I would love to say Batman and Superman, but I feel like I didn't really kind of get really into them until later on. So the character that I actually identified most with when I was growing up was Tim Drake Robin. So I would like to read Superman books and things like that, but the book that I would always want to read was at the time Tim Drake Robin had his own series, and I loved following his adventures of him, trying to be a student, trying to get along with his family, and also being this ward, like this Batman sidekick, and then even to another extent Nightwing. Nightwing was also a huge favorite of mine as well when I was growing up. And then powers that, like, character that I don't get, I don't get all the love for Nightcrawler. I know you can teleport, but he also ends up being like a blue dude with curly hair and a tail. So I don't know if I would want to be that character, even though you can teleport anywhere. But if you teleport into something, you die. Like you gotta visualize where you're teleporting to. Like
swashbuckler, Andre. Sorry, John. He can fight. He is like Daredevil. He's a man of the cloth. So there's some good duality of a man who's also at times a priest.
That storyline is cool, but as a kid, I definitely wasn't picking up that type of stuff.
Andre, do you have any suggestions from? I was looking at you at a good Nightcrawler run or a good.
He's had many great moments, but I just don't get why he's some people's favorite, I guess.
I hear you, John.
Yeah, Nightcrawler's good. There's of course the Age of Apocalypse when he was in Excalibur. He was sick in there. That's an alternate version of him. I would say
Yeah.
one of my favorite
With
Nightcrawler.
the eye patch?
Yeah, he had the patch up. One
Yeah.
of my favorite moments for Nightcrawler though was in I would say recent, but it's not really that recent. It's maybe about 10 years ago. Maybe not quite. It was the John, what's the name of the series with Hope? In the
Messiah Complex.
Yeah, Messiah Complex. And
Yeah.
basically they're trying to save this new mutant, and Nightcrawler is just teleporting and he's literally at wit's end. Like he's used up all his power and he's just trying to escape. And he uses his final teleport to basically sacrifice himself. And I remember that moment, and I was like, damn, like that's who he is. You know, he's gonna want to save this new Messiah that's gonna save. Like it just spoke to him as a character, and I thought it was one of the best deaths in comics. Of course, it's not permanent and all of that stuff, and I think it was a bit of a shame that they just like kind of brought him back willy-nilly. But that was a great moment. That Messiah Complex trade is available, and it's amazing. I'd definitely check it out.
Awesome.
I think if anybody thinks Nightcrawler, they think of X-Men 2. That's the reality.
Oh man,
Right?
yeah, that interesting.
that
Yeah, he's
opening
had some
scene.
great moments, but
Yeah.
True. Andre, go for it.
So it's the hero that we had that made
Oh,
the
boy.
greatest impact on us.
Yep.
Okay, so definitely for me, it would have to be Superman. So over the years I've had many favorite superheroes and stuff, but I remember when I was really like getting into collecting, and this was in the early 90s where the Superman titles were numbered every week. So basically you had Action Comics, you had Adventure Comics, you had Superman, you had Man of Steel. And so basically they would each have their number, but they would also have a triangle, and in that triangle would be the number of the week. So you still, if you wanted to get the whole story, you read it. So I read a lot of Superman and stuff. And the spark of this was, of course, John Byrne's Man of Steel run. And from there, it was just always like reading Superman, and like one of my favorite writers on the character to this day, and favorite writers in comics, Dan Jurgens. He was able to put the duality in the character, like the importance of Clark Kent, and it was one of those things where you maybe can't identify with with him because of the powers, but you could really try and identify with him because of the heart. And I really like that. Like, there was times where, Clark Kent is pushed around and he has to take it, because he can't be that guy that's standing up to, to protect his identity and stuff. And, and then, seeing how he interacts with his parents on the farm. And I think that's just very influential. I think Superman, I think he is the greatest superhero of all time, because when he's written well, there's nothing that holds a candle to those stories. And so, but it is a challenge to write him well, because you realize it's not just about him, it's about the supporting cast and stuff. So yeah, Superman, definitely that influence. And of course, growing up with Challenge of the Super Friends and those cartoons and stuff, there was just, it was just definitely, had a big impact. And also because he's not the most flashy superhero. Like I went through like the Iron Man phase after collecting all the Iron Man books and stuff like that, and liking many other characters and stuff. The Batman phase, still like them. The Punisher phase and stuff. But nothing has stuck with me as like I've always collected and read Superman. So he would definitely
So what's the one that didn't resonate with you, Andre?
So the character that I do not get to this day, and it's more of his like super modern, well not modern, like I don't get Deadpool. I
knew he was gonna say it.
Yeah.
I 100% knew he was gonna say Deadpool.
Okay, right.
Don't understand the love of this character. I can see Deadpool as a supporting character. He get a one shot here, get a couple of, and I collected, Deadpool, of course, in New Mutants and the original Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness run, and it was fun. give me him in small doses.
No mention of Rob Liefeld.
No, because the Rob Liefeld's version of the character is totally different than what he is. I would credit Joe Kelly creating that more humorous thing. But as Deadpool has gone on, and he's grown in popularity and he's just gone like on this total offshoot, and I cannot understand how anybody likes that character. On the equal flip side, though, I would say the same thing about Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is so totally different than how she began, and the character that she is now, don't get it at all. Like just it's just I don't see the appeal. Sometimes both characters have humorous moments, but the amount of content that they have out, not all of it hits the mark, and the stuff that doesn't hit the mark, I just believe is like some of the what do you call it when it's just low-hanging fruit?
Yep. Okay, great. Got it. Scott G. So he's asking for casual fans. So if you were to start reading comics today, where would you start with? So I think it's a recommendation of, if you had to, Scott is looking for, if you were a total noob to comics, which run of books would you recommend for someone to start right now? So don't know anything about the background, but let's just say if you had one trade paperback to recommend and one trade paperback alone for a casual comic book fan, which one would it be? John?
I would go straight to the easiest answer is Batman Hush. It's got great, fantastic, modernish looking comic art. It's got a pretty straightforward story. Like it doesn't, like I wouldn't recommend House and Powers of 10 or whatever. That's gonna go whoosh, right?
Yeah.
But something like a Batman Hush would be a great go, and it features so many of Batman's supporting cast and lots of his villains and things like that. It's a decently meaty read. I want to say it was 8 issues or something like that. So it's got a little bit of everything going on, action and a lot of choices by Batman and stuff like that.
All right, awesome. Andre, I know it's gonna be really hard to pick one, but you only get one.
Okay, so I got to give a shout out to Scott Graziano, a friend of mine from high school, and he's a big supporter of our stuff. So hello, Scott, and you are still welcome to come on this podcast. Don't worry anything about you thinking you have this lack of knowledge. So Scott and I go way, way back. He is now in Chicago, but he still supports the shop, and he does say that he would move back to Canada for the shop alone. Got nothing to do with what's going on in the States, but he was a Markham boy. He'll come back, So Scott, we have a place for you always. So I did see when he posted this question up, and I think he means like, how do people get into comics and how do you start? And I think part of that question is definitely start with a trade paperback. But I would add the caveat that the first thing you need to do when you want to start reading comics is ask yourself what characters you like.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be, a specific superhero, but you could say, well, I generate towards, like, I like lawyer television. I like dramas. I like this. And if you hit up a store, you can tell that store person that. So if you say, oh, well, I watched the Marvel movies and I really enjoyed Ant-Man, then that person could give you something along that stuff. And if you hit us up, we the more information you give us, the better we can.
Well, that's why you're the expert, Andre. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to go into those details because again, the profile, I don't know Scott, so I wasn't going to be like, ask Scott profile stuff questions. But yes, what is the book?
So I would recommend if I was getting a mature reader, I would probably recommend Kingdom Come as a read. It's a standalone book. It is amazingly written by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. It's painted by Alex Ross.
Yeah.
You have the classic superheroes everybody should know: Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash. And then you get a whole bunch of new characters which were created just for that story. So you don't need to know about them because you're going to learn about them. And I believe that comic in particular shows us the potential that all comics have to tell a story that is riveting and poignant and shows you that comics aren't just about bang, pow, cuff, and I think if somebody starts off on that particular book, it then has so much for them to dig their teeth into, and they can say, wow, this is what I liked about Kingdom Come, give me more. This is what I really dug, give me more. And I think there's a lot to that particular book. I believe it is one of the timeless, modern classics for comics. So John was 100% right with Hush, but I would slap in Kingdom Come.
All right, Rob, it's up to you.
So actually,
One. I saw you grab multiple books. One.
No, just one.
One.
I've met Scott through this channel and stuff, and he and I, we joke a lot. And I know that he's currently watching Dark season 3, and I hope you finish it by the time you see this, Scott. I'm going to go in a bit of a different direction in that I think if somebody's coming in and they're like, "Hey, I want to get into comics," I'm under the impression that they've watched this deluge of Marvel movies and DC movies and seen some TV shows. So they know about Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, and all that just from the other media properties. So I would recommend a book by Robert Kirkman and Ryan Otley, Corey Walker, Invincible.
Oh yeah.
I would say Invincible because I think it takes all of the superhero tropes that they're
Also
very
the biggest
familiar
trade I've
with.
ever seen.
Sorry?
That's the biggest single trade I've ever seen.
Like,
look how
it's
thick
the first compendium.
that is. If you don't do your homework, put your hands on the table. Watch out.
Short.
What's that, Andre?
I was gonna say, here you go. Don't get scared away. It's short. The small Invincible book.
Well, it's on volume 1. There's 3 volumes.
This is a super edition. Normally, it's like a thin little guy.
No. I would go with Invincible. I think that it takes everything that you are very familiar with superheroes, and it throws in, it's very familiar characters, right? You understand. You're like, oh, well, that is the proto for Superman, or that is, the proto for this and that, or that's the Justice League. I get it. Okay, cool. And then it throws it on its head. There's a lot of twists and turns. It's fun. It's funny. And it's, I don't like to use the word relatable, but you can relate to say, oh, I was a teenager once. I understand what's happening. Or I have kids who are teens and I get what they're, I get what they're doing or they're talking about. So I would, it's fun. It's different. It's different, but it feels like that, what's going on. So yeah, Invincible.
Okay, awesome. Great. So here we are. Jeremy B asks, who is the most powerful fictional character ever imagined in comic books? I'm going to limit to comic books. He actually says books, movies, comics, or in TV. But for our conversation, that's a lot. I'm going to say in comic books. So thank you, Jeremy.
Come on. Leave that open. That's cool.
Books, movies, like books, movie, comic, and in TV. All right, fine, Andre. I'll leave it open to you, but you're going first. You got no time to think. All right, go for it.
So this one, I got a little bit of a cheat because John posted this up on our social so I could see this. And I love this question because it really got my head turning. So I think the most powerful entity in comics, definitely, I'm going to throw it, just for fun factor, and I love the books, was the Beyonder. So Beyonder is just super cool. So the original Secret Wars, like just being like, literally power incarnate. But I think the and why I got excited about this question was, could you imagine a Beyonder versus Q from Star Trek fight? So those are my two big.
What I love how you went. I opened it up, and then you just went to a comic book reference. So what was the point of opening it up if you just go to the Beyonder? Stupid. You fought for this. You're like, let's open it up, and then immediately you go to the Beyonder.
Dude, Beyonder and Q. That's what I'm saying. The two of them.
Who is the most powerful then, Andre? You can't just say both. One or the other. Who is the most powerful? So you have to pick Q or the Beyonder.
That's what I'm saying. They would fight it out for who.
No. The answer.
I don't know who would win that. That's the fun of it.
Well, then you didn't answer the question, did you, Andre?
I did answer the question.
You didn't. You said who would win, and then you left it open. It was like, who knows? You inceptioned us and let us fill in the blank. That is not
the answer within a question within an answer.
Yeah, that's a complete.
I think Beyonder because of this. Somebody's gonna say no. Q could do this. So yeah,
We want to know your answer. What is your answer? Don't dance around this. Who is the more powerful, Beyonder or Q? Don't do this. I'm looking for one answer. You get
That's
0
hard.
marks.
That's come on.
No.
Help me out, John.
There was a question asked and you didn't answer the question.
You're on your own, bud.
You get
All right.
0. I'm not even giving you a half mark.
I'm gonna say Q then. In all of fiction, Q.
Check
You're
mark
wrong.
done. There you go. There you go. Finally pulling.
No, you're wrong.
No. I'm not saying
you're
you're
wrong.
wrong. I'm glad you got an answer. All right. Rob, who do you got?
Oh, this is tough. This is and I know I might steal John's answer. I know John was thinking Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote.
She owns it all. She just narrate that shit.
She's a watcher. Yeah.
As an aside, she has her own pop figure. I saw that at EB Games yesterday. That's really weird. You know what? I'm gonna go. I know this is
Not weird, Rob. Everyone has their own pop figure now.
Everyone.
It's a
Everyone.
pandemic.
Everyone.
We
You
could
will
do
have
it.
your own pop figure.
We could
soon.
do
Just
it
wait
if
for
you
it.
want.
Just wait
Well,
for
I
it.
hope so. This is going to be a bit of a weird answer, but I've always thought about this. I've always said that the Flash is the most powerful character in the DC universe because of his ability to time travel and rewrite history. We have seen that the Flash changed the DC universe on 2 different occasions. Right, started off with Flashpoint. Got into the New 52. We know that the Flash has an issue with the Rebirth stuff. I know that Dr. Manhattan is now being, brought back in, but I think that the Flash as a character is probably the most powerful character because of his ability to rewrite the Marvel or the DC universe.
Incorrect. That's actually correct. But yes, okay, got it. Wrong. John.
Come at me, Stu. What you got?
First off, we most powerful of all media. You're gonna say the Flash when Andre mentioned Q, who has the power to change reality, not with a snap of his finger.
No.
Can basically change time and space. Can basically
I narrowed it down to the original
wonderful
question.
episode of
No.
Star Trek Voyager. When the Q collective got together, it's like, imagine being everywhere, doing everything. You have nothing left to do. I was a tree. I was a rock.
I
was
narrowed
backwards in
it
time. I went
down.
forwards in time. I have the power to do anything. I just want to die. The only problem they have left is they want to die. They imagine having every conversation conceivable, and they just sit in a world where they sit there and say nothing because everything they could have said has been said. That is the power of Q.
I narrowed it
I
down.
gotta run fast and change the future. He can't change how the future. He can't dictate what future he wants. He can change a flashpoint, but, he doesn't need to
that's the whole
dictate.
point of power, though. Sometimes power has consequences, right? That's what
But absolute power means you get to dictate everything that happens. So thus, Q would be the most powerful.
Listen, your original question is you only opened it up because Andre complained. It was originally about comics. So I'm answering.
But let's go with the Beyonder then. The Beyonder is a comic book character. He can change reality, pull people in the pocket.
I'm going to go with the Flash.
He can. Incorrect.
No, it's not incorrect. It's my answer.
He's not even the most powerful in the DC universe.
It's an answer, but you're wrong.
Let me clarify. Screw you. It's the Flash. That's it.
No.
Screw you.
There is a man.
Screw you. It's the Flash. That's the next shirt, folks. That's the shirt. Screw you. It's the Flash.
There is a.
Your next follow-up question should be Wally West or Barry Allen Flash. That's what your question should have been, not telling me that I'm incorrect. Get out of here.
Incorrect. There is a DC universe character who can alter reality, who go back and forth, who pops up, who annoys Batman, who annoys Superman on a regular basis, who can do whatever he wants, and he just shows up for kicks and giggles. So, Andre, do you know who I'm talking about?
I do.
Who is that I'm talking about?
You want me to spoil it, or is Rob supposed to
Rob, do you know Rob who I'm talking about? The most powerful DC universe character?
Are you trying to tell it Mr. Mixelplex?
Now sing it backwards to get rid of him.
Stu Pay.
So I'm just saying that guy can also change Flashpoint whenever he wants. He can do whatever he wants.
He didn't.
So
Whatever. I'm going the Flash. Move on. John,
He doesn't need a treadmill to get going. I'm just saying he doesn't require additional.
okay, I
accessories.
do agree that is a stupid caveat. But that said, the Flash.
Yeah. Okay. Removing the treadmill, then he is useless. He cannot do change time. But all right, John, go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna use another one of my lifelines, and I'm gonna call my good friend Stu Pay and get an answer for this one.
Wait,
Or
what?
can I get it cut 50-50? Can I get half the answers taken off the board?
You got to give your answer first, and we'll see if that's
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with the definitive answer according to the internet, and I can't believe none of y'all saw this, and it is Batman with planning.
Wait,
That's it.
what? Sorry?
Batman with planning. That wins every argument on the internet. Who wins in a fight? Batman with time to plan, and that's it.
You're dumb.
That's the internet. Look it up on the internet. Because
he
Batman
is
will
called Bad God for a reason. But I guess
Batman
there's a
will
caveat of time.
enlist all these dudes that you're talking about in his plan to figure out how to do it.
So
That's
you're
one of the
saying
things I hate
your
that-
answer is predicated on the fact that Batman has time to hang out and think about stuff first.
Exactly. Batman with planning
If
wins
something
every
happens,
situation.
like in Infinity War, when all of a sudden shit starts raining down and everybody's like, oh my God, Batman is now no longer the most powerful. So he's only good 40% of the time is what you're saying based on your...
No, Batman with planning is the answer. There's no stipulation if what if Beyonder's busy? What if you call Beyonder and he's
Well,
busy?
there is a
That's-
stipulation.
Then you
It's
start just
Batman
throwing.
with planning.
Beyonder is never busy. He can be wherever he wants.
He knows what he's doing.
Andre has the correct answer. Both of you guys have caveats because the Flash also needs to find the treadmill. So if the Flash is not near the treadmill, then
Doesn't
he
need
can't
to
do
find a
Flash.
treadmill.
He
Doesn't
can't.
need to
He
find
can't
a
do it.
Maybe it's not oiled properly and stuff too. You know, we're in the wrong. boots.
Stu has a bias because he's a massive Star Trek person, and that's why he's agreeing.
No,
with
but
Andre's.
it based on like outside of God himself, and even God in Supernatural is not very powerful, really. Like Chuck, spoiler, not really powerful. He's just kind of there. If you look at characters in fiction that have the ability to change anything they want on a dime, Q is the most powerful on terms of Rob, as you mentioned. In a split moment, he can do anything he wants, including have a child, just for kicks and giggles, and
What about
have a
Scarlet Witch?
fully grown
Hey,
child. So
anyways,
I
I think we can agree that John's answer is worse than mine.
100%, yes. 100%,
Check the internet.
yes,
Check
100%.
the internet.
Batman with time. Although
My
Bad God is a
visibility powers
thing.
are on the fritz
For
here.
those at home that don't know, Bad God is a thing where he is unstoppable. But even if you're going to say, why don't you give him the powers where he was on the chair at least? Like he has the,
That would be in his plan.
so he would be able to think about the answers. That Batman would be unstoppable. Batman with a plan wouldn't be able to beat Batman in the future chair. So again, it requires some sort of exercise equipment that require, just like Rob with the the Flash, requires some sort of furniture. That's the caveat. Batman with furniture is what you're looking for. The Beyonder and does not need furniture. So that is the question. Okay. So the next wow. All right, from Lewis L. This is he's in the wow, seriously. All right, so I'm gonna read this, Lewis. This is on you. This is similar to Rob's school of comedy. How much could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? ... Okay, serious question. Out of all the comics you've
Rob's
read,
looking up the woodchuck one. What a nerd! He's like looking it up.
I was like, I know there's an answer to
I can
this.
see him on the screen looking it up. He's like, I gotta be smart. I gotta know the answer to this one.
so here is a serious question from Lewis. Out of all the comics you've read, and I mean all of them, from each publisher, what was your favorite arc? Which one was your most disappointing? So I'm gonna put it all in one because I think we can't do, for time purposes, we'll caveat this next time. But out of all the arcs you've read from all the comics, which one is your favorite and which was the most disappointing? John, you're first. Out of all the arcs you've read, which is what's your favorite arc and which one is the one you're most disappointed with?
Easily jumping to mind just because of its history and stuff. Age of Apocalypse from the X-Men was probably one of my most favorite arcs ever, setting the X-Men in this apocalyptic world where everything's destroyed and and they've reformed in these different teams, and they had different spins on all the different characters. That was probably my favorite. And when I was young, I did collect every issue, which sounds pretty daunting now. Like, I don't remember how many titles it was. I don't know if Andre remembers. It's like 4 issues times, like, I don't know, 7 whatever titles, because the current 10 of Swords X-Men is going to be 22 chapters. I don't know if this rivals that. Yeah. Disappointing arc. I'm gonna say it now, but with a caveat. I think at the time there was a point when Superman died and came back, and he came back as Electric Superman, and at the time I did not appreciate it. I think if I went back now to read it, I think I would very much appreciate it much more. I think at the time I was in the mood for, Superman doing his Superman thing, and the Electric Superman kind of worked it. Like, even now talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I probably should have appreciated more. He was figuring out other ways around and new ways to use these powers, and he wasn't as unstoppable as before. But at the time, I just couldn't get into it.
Okay. Rob, it is time for you to shine. And I can see, I picked you because I can see how much distress you're in.
Well,
you
yeah,
because
there's
the button?
a lot of like really good arcs out there.
Andre's chilling like a villain, but you, like the sweat that's just teetering down your face. This is like, it's quiz show all over again.
Yeah,
That's an old man
Charles
reference that
Van
no kid will
Dornan to give me
understand.
the answer in my earpiece. So I want to do, I want to do a little bit different. So it's the the same writer for both arcs. So I'm gonna go with, my favorite probably is Court of Owls by Snyder and Capullo. Mm-hmm. I've probably gone back to that first arc a number of times. I quite enjoy it. I mean, I like the look of it.
We got full stock at the shop if you want to come by and grab it. We mentioned it a lot.
Yeah.
I really like it. The one that I was really disappointed in was the end, and I don't remember what it was called. The one where Batman.
I think it was called Endgame.
No, I don't know. I think it was one that was after that. It was where Batman and Joker end up, they kill each other, so supposedly, and Jim Gordon becomes Batman with the mech suit. You had the mechanical Batman, and now he's doing it, and it leads into the Bloom stuff, I think. That was, to me, probably the worst. Like, that was pretty much the end of their run, and I'm like, you started off so strong, and I think overall the Snyder Capullo run is probably one of the best runs of modern Batman history, but it really ended on a whimper. It just didn't hold up, and I was like, they didn't stick the landing, and that one was just disappointing. I remember just reading those issues going, man, this is crap. Like, I just wasn't enjoying it. Jim Gordon in that Bat mech suit was, I don't like the Bat mech suit. It wasn't my favorite. So that would probably be the worst for me that I've read.
All right. Andre?
So my favorite comic series of all time easily is Planetary, and 24 issues that spanned, I think it took 11 or 12 years to come out, and I love every issue of it. It to me is the pinnacle of comic book storytelling, and how when a writer and an artist are literally like in sync, they produce magic. And the whole series was fantastic. It is
future Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, it's one of those stories that I hate when comics are late. As a retailer, I absolutely hate it. And I'm a hypocrite because I think that with this series, because it was so good, I cut it slack, and I never want a series to take 11 years again to finish. It's far too long. So I hypocrite on that part because I cut that book some slack. So storylines that I hate, I have to caveat it with the reason why you hate something or dislike something so strongly is because you want to like it, or you're invested in it and stuff, and that's why it disappoints you. So I think there's a lot of stuff that I read that's just it's just mediocre or whatever, right? But I would probably say one of the arcs that disappointed me so much was the Mark Millar and Frank Quietly when they took over the Authority. The Authority was Brian Hitch and Warren Ellis, and the first oh my God, like that was epic storytelling from when they took, when Warren Ellis took over Stormwatch all the way. And then I think it was like issue 12 or something, and you got Frank Quietly and Mark Millar come on, and they just turned these guys into like they just like not thugs, but they were having orgies on the ship. It was just so totally different. Like it was just
Rob tuned back in.
Yeah, it was just like
Tell me more.
It was like The Boys, but better. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So I would, again, because what was previously done was so good, and I was looking forward to, oh, okay, yeah, you know what, Frank Quietly at the time, he had some things going on in his name and his art. The art was good, but I just didn't like where they took the characters and stuff like that. So that would probably be one of the things that sticks in my mind as being bad, in my opinion.
Got it. So question from original Bo Kufish. Underrated 90s book that gets a bad rap. This is the perfect category for us old fogies. A 90s comic book that gets a bad rap. So I'll give you a second to think about that. Those of you who are listening at home can't see us. We are all old dudes from the 90s. So
I got one.
Should have a reference point.
Yeah, go Rob. I don't think I'm gonna be able to pull this out.
We're gonna a little bit of dancing, jazz hands, spirit fingers for the people to figure it out. But Rob, I will let you go first. Underrated 90s comic book. Shoot.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick so I'm going to go with Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern.
Ooh.
There was a lot of controversy in the 90s with respect to Kyle Rayner being given the ring, created by Ron Mars and Darryl Banks, and he debuted in January of 94. I actually really liked the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. I really, really liked his costume. I remember, I always thought that mask out of his was sick.
Yeah.
So visually, I thought it was amazing. And I think it was
logo was on the side of his shirt rather than the
middle. Like on the top, right? Yeah. And again, he had that
uniform. Yeah.
Yeah, and he had that layered mask. And I mean, I think it was the first issue is where his girlfriend was found in the refrigerator, bent backwards and stuff. I mean, the guy and so he was a graphic artist. So I mean, his constructs were just phenomenal looking. And then you had this mystery and the maturity almost essentially of the death of his girlfriend, and just visually he was just so striking. And I thought he was great, and a lot of people really hated that run, were really upset with that character being Green Lantern. I think there's been a bit more of an appreciation for it. I read somewhere last year that DC was going to release a collected edition of Rayner's Green Lantern run, and then they canceled it. I don't know if it was for lack of interest. I really wish he'd be out there. I would love to get an omnibus of all of of his run, the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern run. But that would be my pick. That's a good question. That actually stopped me for a second, but then I remembered how much I really enjoyed that run. So good question.
I actually remember collecting that arc too.
But I don't think that was very underrated. It's a good pick, but I don't think it was a very underrated run. I think a lot of people were reading it at the time because they also replaced Green Arrow with Connor Hawke, and that was also Wally West. So they were kind of this triumvirate of new characters in those legacy roles. And I think at the time it was doing pretty well. But no, it's definitely a good choice. Because people just kept wanting Hal back.
Yep, his Hal was, they had to really turn up the supervillainy for him. For those who are unaware, that he was really had to murder a lot of people, and he murdered a lot of beloved characters. You want him back? Let's keep on killing the people you love. Just hopefully you'll
including Coast City.
See
you, Coast City.
We're gonna kill the entire city. That's great. John.
I don't know. This one's pretty hard for me. I can't remember. Nothing stands out in my mind. I wanted to say the Jeff Johns Flash run, but I think that's 2000s, as an underappreciated gem. But I will say that the Clone Saga, which I'm pretty sure was 90s.
Yep.
I actually, as not really a Spider-Man fan, when I jumped on for the Clone Saga, and I enjoyed it, and I liked following Ben Reilly afterwards. But I wasn't a long-time fan, so I didn't have the, oh my God, what they do to Peter Parker feeling that a lot of other people had. I was new. I was like, oh, this is cool. I get to follow this new guy from the kind of like picking up like this life that he felt he should have had or whatever. So I'd probably have to shout out that one, but I can understand why people were upset that Peter Parker got, but it's all been fixed since.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right though, John. People really hated that.
Yeah.
People like
And people still talk about how much they despise the Clone Saga.
Yeah.
Andre.
Yeah, man, this is a tough one. Like,
I gave you the very last option because I knew you're racking your brain, and this is a hard one for you.
So I'm trying to think like of what the question really is about. Is about stuff that was good, or bad back then, but it's looked at favorably now, or whatever. And I think that's really tough. I will pick an underrated series from the '90s. And I would say Jim Lee's Death Blow series from Image Comics, because he was trying something new artistically. It
wasn't in color, right? It was like black and white, or
black, white, and red. And stuff. He was like doing some watercolors, so it was a pretty cool series artistically, a little bit different and stuff. And I think it was probably one of his worst selling books. Like it wasn't pushing Wildcats numbers, wasn't pushing X-Men or Punisher numbers.
I think it was the only one that wasn't on my list. It was like, Team 7, Grifter, Wildcats, Cyberforce, and then no Death Blow. Thanks.
Yeah. And I remember reading the first 4 issues like several years ago and thinking, wow, this isn't really bad. And it so much so that they did try other series with different writers later on. And stuff, and I do think that the character definitely has potential, and so I think Brian Azzarello told a story in it, and it was pretty cool. So yeah, I would probably say the '90s Death Blow comic from Image.
Awesome. And our last question. Thank everyone for answering or sending questions. We have a lot more to go. We're just running out of time, so we'll do another one soon. We'll keep some of the questions we have in the hopper. But I appreciate everyone participating, and we'll give more time for you guys to send more questions our way. But last question from Guy Incognito. Rumors swirling right now that Ryan Reynolds to sign the longest record-breaking, highest-paid MCU deal of all time. So I want to get your thoughts on the fact that he potentially, based on the question from Guy Incognito, the thoughts on him being the highest rated / longest over a 9-picture deal, the rumors are saying, for Ryan Reynolds and the MCU. So Roberto, what are your thoughts?
For him.
Well,
because I'm gonna wait. Andre's gonna be last because Andre's already talked about his love for Deadpool. So I'm gonna let Andre simmer on that one.
I think you can separate that from Ryan Reynolds as a person.
We'll find out, John. Spoilers.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Tune in later.
We'll find out.
Thanks for the question, Guy.
Guy Incognito. Yeah.
First of all, listen, man. Respect to anybody who can pull in that amount of money. It's all rumors at this point. We do know that Ryan Reynolds had a meeting with Kevin Feige back in the summer, and I guess they need somebody to replace Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They need somebody at figurehead who can move in between the different movies, seamlessly have his own as well. And I think the reality is Deadpool is probably the most logical choice in so much as that he already has those 2 really popular movies. Ryan Reynolds is a brand upon itself. Like he's everywhere, and people don't seem to tire of the guy. Right? Whether it's his Mint Mobile, Aviation Gin, or whatever the case may be. Somebody please get Andre a walker. He might be tripping over right now.
Is he behind Mint Mobile?
Like
he
company?
He owns Mint Mobile.
He owns, yeah.
Oh, man, that's an excellent service.
So, you've got this. Nobody seems to tire of the guy. And I think that as the Deadpool character, I know as much as Andre despises it, he is somebody who can carry his own movie. He can introduce into the X-Men. He can interweave into the Spider-Verse or the Spider-Man movies. He can kind of be anywhere, and it makes a little bit of it's definitely listen, this is all conjecture, so I'm just dreaming this up. If that is his role to replace RDJ and go into these different movies, that's a 90-degree angle shift, and that would be completely different. But that seems like what Marvel would do. They would do something completely different and throw you off. So if that's the case, I'm all for it. I really like the Deadpool 1 and 2. I really enjoy Once Upon a Deadpool, which is like a 2.5. It was more feasible for kids to be able to watch.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was able to show my son that movie. So yeah, I'm all for it. Ryan Reynolds, give him all the money, bring Deadpool back into the integrate him into the MCU, and let's see how he does.
John?
Yeah, if anyone deserves something like this, the amount of heart and effort that Ryan Reynolds has put into being Deadpool, and like Rob says, like as a brand, he's all over there. Like he's answering people on Twitter. He's firing back jokes at every celebrity that kind of wants to play with him, and his chemistry.
Let's not forget
like
his bromance with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Cannot
like
be
with
understated.
him and Hugh Jackman, him and almost anybody, like he seems to be able to just kind of get along with anybody. I will question how Deadpool is gonna fit in with like Avenger, if it is Deadpool. Like, who knows, like, or even if he's just gonna be narrating these movies, or if he's gonna stick to the X-Men side or something like that. I would question that. But if like all the way from like Van Wilder to this, like if anyone has kind of put in maximum effort, as he likes to say, like it's him.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right, Andre.
So Stu, I need you to fill me in on the rumor, because I haven't heard it. What's the numbers we're talking about, and what's
The numbers haven't been addressed. They're just rumors that he will be. I was doing some research based on the question that Guy Incognito put forward, but it would be over 9 movies, and it'd be more than what anyone is being paid outside of back end. So I think it'd be over 20 million plus per film. And
yeah, and how much could he have been making off of these Deadpools, right?
Because Chris Evans signed a 6-movie deal, Robert Downey Jr. signed a 7 or 6 movie deal as well. And Samuel Jackson signed theoretically at one point 9 movies, which was the longest. So Reynolds would be either 9 or 10 for the next 10 Marvel appearances, plus all the money that goes with it.
So he could be cameos like Samuel L. Jackson,
yes.
not like the leader of the movie.
Yes.
Well,
and caveat, basically, with all the rumors happening with Doctor Strange, which is filming next month in October, November, and the Multiverse of Madness, that with all the variations of the fact that they're going to be this is the way they're going to integrate all these different universes in, including bringing back Electro, which we have not talked about, but probably the sidekicks have, with Jamie Foxx. This is a way to integrate and bring everyone together.
So
he could replace the Stan Lee cameo in every movie. That could be it. That could be it. It could just be Deadpool in the background, or he says a line and then disappears.
Yeah, I think though that if they're going to be giving this guy, listen, they want to be able to market Ryan Reynolds in some capacity. So I think he'd probably be a bit more of a substantial cameo as opposed to the Stan Lee, asking if it's Tony Stank.
But to be fair, and I'll go back to Andre. From a social media presence, he's probably, out of all the heroes that do social media, the most vocal of everything he does. And he seems to be savvy. I don't know if it's a team that does it. Frankly, it seems like it's just him that just gets it. Outside of like maybe Chris Hemsworth, who does some funny things here and there, but Chris Hemsworth doesn't do as much as Ryan Reynolds. And everyone else seems to be just quiet on social media and just showing pictures of
except for Chris Evans.
Besides for Chris Evans, but even Chris Evans doesn't really say much. But about
he doesn't have to.
Yeah. But if you're looking for, with the new world being with after COVID, and we talked about the Charlie Brown stuff, you need people to get people to the theater, and he is a guy that can get people to theoretically, and the youth to go to the theater. So maybe that's the method of it, and that maybe he doesn't want back end because maybe they won't make $1 billion anymore. But you still need people to go to the theater, and he's a draw.
So a couple of things that I'm first thinking of. So aside from Deadpool, what Ryan Reynolds vehicle has made a shit ton of money in the box office?
Deadpool is pretty much it.
Yeah. So I don't know why they would be banking this guy as the replacement for Robert Downey Jr. As much as I dislike Robert Downey Jr., he dominated the box office. So I would hope that Kevin Feige, and this is just rumor, I hope he's smarter than to put all his eggs in Ryan Reynolds' baskets.
Remember, he made $1 billion movie, 2 rated R movies.
Correct.
So like
correct.
this is
again,
a feat that no one in the Marvel universe
but
has
that
done.
doesn't. But look, he's playing Robert. He's playing himself.
Yeah.
Right. Every other movie, listen. I don't have anything against Reynolds. Okay, but if you want to define a one-dimensional actor, that's this guy, right? If it's the romantic comedy or this comedy, that's it. So if all of a sudden I've argued that the MCU is already too slapstick, you want to then put Mr. Slapstick himself, that's a great way to kill whatever future your universe is. If this guy had movies that were, bank, you might as well get Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's gonna bring bank.
No,
Okay, well,
no.
hang on a second. So I just did a quick search. Okay, so we can, if you take out Deadpool 2, which was his highest box office worldwide, right? You got Deadpool. He was in the Hobbs and Shaw, so he counts for that. He was in the voice of the
No, it didn't count for that one. He was
I'm
Pokemon. But then you go to the proposal with
Sandra
Bullock was $378 million worldwide, right? I mean, so he has had some. Hitman's Bodyguard made a decent amount of cash as well. So
people aren't going because of Ryan Reynolds. They're going because of Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock, Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson, Ryan Reynolds and.
But if you go by that logic, Andre, what was Robert Downey Jr. doing before Iron Man? He was basically
correct,
nothing.
but
So
he didn't get paid.
Chris Hemsworth was nothing.
But they didn't garner their paychecks. Downey didn't garner his money after the success of Iron Man 2 or 3 or whatever the hell it was.
He made the money after Iron Man 1.
For Iron Man because he wasn't. So what I'm saying is I think, if I would pay him to replace the Stan Lee cameos, I think that would be funny. Or you give him an end credit scene at every movie. Listen,
like a parody scene at the end of every movie.
Here's the thing, Andre. Like, if you look at if you are a stockholder of Disney, Andre, and you have money invested in Disney,
I would not spend.
I would totally do it. It makes sense.
Not.
It totally makes sense.
It does not make sense. You're appealing to one segment of the market, and
that's
again,
what Robert Downey Jr. was. Robert Downey Jr. in one movie made enough money that he was a garner that deal because who else got it?
Look again. You guys know I'm not a fan of his portrayal of Iron Man. But Downey Jr., he didn't use it in the Marvel movies, but he had a range, right? He could act in many different roles, serious roles. He played like
none of those serious movies made money. Name a movie that Robert Downey Jr. is seriously made money.
Whatchamacallit,
you can't even name the movie. You can't even name it.
The one on the murderer, about the murderer.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
No, he wasn't the big part. It was Jake Gyllenhaal and something else. I can't. It was based on a true story or whatever. I can't remember.
On the serial killer. That movie. Yeah.
And then
the fact that we can't even name the movie says volumes about what the Robert Downey Jr.
Okay, but
then The Judge didn't make money either, or what the Road Trip with him and Zach Galifianakis didn't make money. Like Dr. Dolittle didn't make money. Like everything outside of Iron Man doesn't make money.
He got 3 Sherlock Holmes movies. The
Zodiac.
Did not play Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah,
that was way before. That was like 1992.
Well, I'm talking about the range of his acting.
What does the range have to be with Robert Downey Jr.? Because
look,
Iron Man is single note.
Ryan Reynolds is on brand for Marvel. What they like to write.
Yeah,
I think Ryan Reynolds expands different genres and people, like in terms of not genres, age and stuff like that. Kids like him. Adults like him. Netflix, we don't know what the Netflix movies that he's been doing. He's got that Red Notice with The Rock and Gal Gadot that's filming is going to be for Netflix. You'll never know what those numbers are, but I think what was that, 6 Underground, as much as I don't enjoy that movie, it made a lot, I got a lot of eyeballs on it. So the guy is out there and he's wholesome and everybody enjoys him. So yes, I agree with Stu. It's on brand.
Why do you need him when you already have all the eyeballs on the MCU movies?
Because I think you need to connect. You need to have one person connect.
Continue the momentum.
And we're talking about diversity and all these issues now. Like I got no problems with him, but I'm like, he's not bringing anybody that's not already there to these movies. Period. End stop. Right? will the movies make more money when they come back? Sure. Well, if he doesn't play Deadpool and they can actually give him a character, but every time you see this guy, he can't even change his voice for a plot. He can't even change how he stands. He plays the same character. The only thing I'm going to give him credit for is in Deadpool, he had his face makeup properly, and he didn't want to be pretty under with the mask off. Look, is Deadpool going to be in the MCU 100%? Because they do need to transition that. Is it going to be a different movie? Hell yeah, because Disney's not going to allow him to make dick joke Deadpool movies and a rated R Deadpool movie. It's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen, right? So there's no way. And look, we are all comic guys, right? We can look at the comics where Deadpool joined the Avengers, Deadpool joined the Uncanny Avengers, Deadpool was on X-Force, Deadpool's on this. He's not on any of those teams anymore, right?
Well, just like the Wolverine. The Wolverine was always part of every team.
That can stick on a team and make movies or make these things better, right? It's not there. And I don't know who else he's going to play. Listen, if they want to bring him in as classic Nick Fury or whatever, because Sam Jackson's tired of playing it, fine. Maybe he'll
Hasselhoff will be pissed.
We'll get white Nick Fury again. Like, I don't know. All I'm saying is if this is the guy they're banking on, then if I was one of the other stars that was already in the MCU, I'd be pissed that this is the thing. Sure, he's got the socials. Sure, he's got the this and the that. But he doesn't have the box office gravitas, nor like I said, nor does he have. And not that you need depth for Marvel movies or whatever, but I'm just it sure as hell helps.
Based on his two movies, he does have the gravitas.
The guys that we like and we have attributed to having acting chops in these Marvel movies give us performances, or we are pleasantly surprised when we get that performance out of Chris Evans because he's stepping up to play that role, and we're impressed by Chiwetel. How do you pronounce Ejiofor?
Ejiofor.
Sorry, with his portrayal of Mordo, we're impressed by the actress who played Okoye because we only saw her in Walking Dead before. These people are stepping up. Maybe Reynolds can do it, and I'm cutting them, and I'm
based on numbers, Andre, he's the most successful MCU character because based on production costs to revenue, his movies make the most money because it doesn't cost anything.
Right, but it's also the lowest common denominator. If they had a movie with Mark Ruffalo telling dick jokes as the Hulk, I bet you it would
Rob's in.
Watch it.
I'll watch it. How stupid the thing is, right?
Well, they had to spend $200 million on Ant-Man, and Ant-Man did not make $900 million being a rated R film. So
it is possible.
The Hulk with a brick wall background. Let's deal with dicks.
We're talking about with the assumption that Ryan Reynolds will play Deadpool, and I think that his Deadpool will be part of the Marvel universe. But if they are expanding out the multiverse, listen, there's been rumors that Marvel wants to bring in Alpha Flight. Maybe this is their way in.
The Guardian.
Maybe Ryan Reynolds plays Guardian and Deadpool, and you never know, right? You never know. I would like there to be some type of an announcement at some point. That'd be nice. Some type of a bit more information.
Maybe he just started this rumor because he's a freaking genius.
He did leak, or someone did leak the Deadpool,
Deadpool
trailer. So whatever he did, it's magical. So we'll see what happens. And he's still Green Lantern as far as I'm concerned. So let's see what happens. Snyder cut. So we'll see what happens. Needless to say, Andre, no surprise, not a fan. So the rest of us all on board. Carry on. So thank you all again, all our question asking people out there, Johnny T and Guy Incognito especially. Lots of great questions out there.
What a handsome fellow that Guy Incognito.
Guy Incognito is really awesome, but Johnny T, great guy to also hang out with. Also to if you need to buy a vehicle, but we'll keep it quiet for now until he gives a permission to say his full name. But yeah, nonetheless, where can we find more of you two guys, Andre and John, on the World Wide Web?
Yeah, so Heroes World Online, a lot of our social media, the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube, and if you're listening to the podcast, you can just, any of the podcast services, just search up Heroes World Podcast, or we always post the links in the description.
Andre?
You can find me in the store. Most often, we are conveniently located at in Markham, which is just outside of the GTA, 8601 Warden Avenue. Nice brick and mortar store. We got lots of merchandise, lots of parking, lots of amenities nearby. And I guess from now on at the store, I will be researching this Ryan Reynolds, and I will lead the anti-Ryan Reynolds in the MCU.
How could you go anti-Ryan Reynolds? I don't
No. You
understand.
gotta support the fellow
on?
Canadian. Nationally
what is
televised Andre Greenidge
Andre's
has
just
got
mad
to
that
support
he
his
could
fellow
not
Canadian.
himself create a gin company and sell it for $900 million. So I'm just like, I could have made aviation gin and sold it for $900 million. He doesn't need money. Ryan Reynolds is good.
Clearly doesn't need money, and
just
and
chilling.
maybe he's doing this to get, he's making all these other companies so he can finally get some acting lessons from somebody. So
Whoa!
start
Well,
in a
no,
better
Ryan,
role.
no, we love you. Please come on the podcast. We'll make sure Andre's not here. I will
The
be-
views and opinions expressed by Andre Greenridge.
Speaking of Army Hammer love, I have an unabashed love for Ryan Reynolds, so that I will be his butler. I will be his turtle. That's what I'm saying right now. I will be your turtle and just carry stuff around for you and your lovely wife, and just hang out in Van City and / California. So if you need me, I'm available. Don't listen to Andre. As well, if you'd like to buy anything online, you can sales at Heroes World.
Yeah, you can message us through any of our social media. We'll get it, or you can email sales.heroesworld, HEROESworld@gmail.com.
Again, we are on Spotify, we are on iTunes, we're on YouTube, we're on all the things. So please like, subscribe, bells, all the jazz that's required. Please, it's super helpful. Comment as well. Just keep.
Tell us how wrong or right I am.
I think you underestimate the Ryan Reynolds love.
Don't start this, Andre. You don't. It's a battle you're not ready for. And Rob, where can we find you?
Yeah, on the Twitter and Instagram at Rob Gadet, and also on, you're listening to this, you should be listening to the Sidekick podcast with Joey, John, and myself. We run down the top 5 big stories of the week, as well as John tells us all the new comics and statues and games coming to the store. So listen for us every Tuesday that drops. That's the kind of lead into this show. And I think this Tuesday we'll talk about the big news with Electro, as well as maybe we'll rib on Andre for not liking Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, I'm coming on the Sidekick show.
He's taking over.
Yeah, hopefully,
The televised Andre is taking over.
I'm wearing a Heroes World shirt, so hopefully at one point we'll get more merch back in, as this is the old school Heroes World shirt from, gosh, 8, 10, it feels like 10 years ago. This was a shirt that you guys had.
Maybe not that long. Maybe about 6.
No, I have another one that's probably I got 6 years ago. This is probably 10 years.
That shirt's been as old as the beard.
I have the other one that's just black and white without the vinyl. So this is probably a 10-year-old shirt. So so thank you all for listening. Thanks for asking questions. We will do another AMA shortly. And we appreciate everyone out there, including Guy Incognito. You're the best. Thanks, everyone.
Such a
Have
handsome
a great
fella.
day, and see you all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Stu.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, Stu.